Amid pomp and splendor, the 32nd regular meeting of the Conference of Heads of Government of the Caribbean Community CARICOM was opened at the Sir Cecil Jacobs Auditorium located in the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank in St. Kitts. At the opening ceremony, Prime Minister the Honorable Kamla Persad Bissessar was represented by Foreign Affairs and Communications Minister the Honorable Suraj Rambachan. In her opening remarks, Her Excellency Lolita Applewhite, Acting Secretary General of CARICOM, affirmed that CARICOM is alive and well, manifested in various ways.
Integration is not just some intellectual concept debated over by politicians, intellectuals, and bureaucrats. It is present in the University of the West Indies, producing thousands of Caribbean people trained in a variety of disciplines to help develop our region. It is present in the Caribbean Examinations Council, CXC, preparing hundreds of thousands of our youth for a future in our region and the wider world. Integration is cooperation in health, when, among other things, we can lower the cost of pharmaceuticals through bulk purchasing and enable the Caribbean to be the first region in the world to be rid of polio. It is the Pan-Caribbean Partnership Against HIV/AIDS, PANCAP, recognized by the United Nations as an international best practice, which has significantly increased access to drugs, treatment, and care for those suffering with the virus. It is pooling our skills and resources under the coordination of the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency, SEDEMA, to reach out to people in distress in the wake of natural disasters. It is the free trade area, then the common market, and now the single market that by 2008 had accounted for more than $3 billion in intra-regional trade and provides jobs for hundreds of thousands in this region, as the commercial enterprises benefit from the duty-free market provided within our space.
In his address, Prime Minister of Barbados, the Honorable Frendel Stewart, spoke of the issues of freedom of movement by CARICOM citizens.
For more than half a century, the matter of freedom of movement has had the unfortunate tendency to inflame passions throughout the region. Of late, Barbados has been at the receiving end of much of the emotive and highly inaccurate rhetoric on this issue. I'm therefore glad for the opportunity to bring some perspective to bear on this important subject. First, let me restate that Barbados is fully compliant with its CARICOM obligations with respect to the free movement of the 10 categories of workers specified in the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas and subsequent decisions of heads. This is not my subjective view. Rather, it is based on the findings of the Secretariat Appraisal Report. We are one of only 3 members which have thus far set up the required national accreditation councils to certify and verify the requisite skills. From 2006 to the end of 2010, the Barbados authorities have issued 725 skill certificates to CARICOM nationals from the 12 CSME participating member states, including our own, and have verified over 1,500 such certificates. Since the inception of the regime to the end of 2010, 1,777 persons have been granted indefinite stay in Barbados, and 77 persons have moved under the rights of establishment category. These figures do not include those dependents who accompany the primary movers. In addition, on a case-by-case basis, we continue to accept for employment in Barbados CARICOM nationals who fall outside the 10 agreed categories, as evidenced by the granting of 36 long-stay and 1,577 short-stay work permits last year alone. In 2010, 173,106 CARICOM nationals were admitted into Barbados, while only 651, or 0.3%, were refused entry. Barbados is committed to the smooth and transparent operation of this vital regime. At the same time, however, we insist that its rules must be scrupulously applied, both to facilitate those legitimately eligible to benefit from its provisions and to ensure that the criminal and fraudulent elements of our societies are not given free rein to manipulate the system to the detriment of all.
Prime Minister Stewart emphasized the need for due diligence.
We are frequently criticized for the rigor of our checks, and while I accept that there are sometimes instances of duplication and delay, which we are working to correct, I cannot in good conscience abandon the principle of due diligence on which Barbados' reputation for order and probity has always rested. Due diligence has in fact revealed some most creative scams by putative free movers, the most notorious of whom was detained as a guest of Her Majesty's prison in Barbados. The sobering aspect of his case is the fact that the bogus credentials he carried, in medicine, believe it or not, had been duly certified by an official agency in his home country, whose irate communications and charges that Barbados was harassing its skilled nationals were naturally the subject of considerable embarrassment after the fact. There's also a lack of operational clarity on the rights of establishment regime, which leaves it open to exploitation by those who might not otherwise qualify under the skills criteria. For this reason, we do not believe it prudent to grant indefinite stay to this category of persons until proof is provided that a business has in fact been established and is operating from a fixed location.
Representing the Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, Foreign Affairs Minister, the Honorable Dr. Douglas Slater, called for a resumption of the leadership role of the CARICOM Big Four.
We must acknowledge frankly that CARICOM demands focused leadership from Barbados, Guyana, Jamaica, and Trinidad and Tobago. It is not that the member states of the OECS, Bahamas, Belize, Haiti, and Suriname are not of vital importance. It is simply that the Big Four, for various reasons, must, in a coordinated way, drive, pull, or push the regional juggernaut. In each of these cases, it is arguable that domestic considerations were possibly an encumbrance or a limitation on optimal regional activity. If that has been the case in any of these countries, the region can no longer afford the luxury of such relative non-engagement.
Dr. Slater emphasized Trinidad and Tobago's role.
I feel sure that the government of Trinidad and Tobago, which is populated by committed regionalists, would again be at the fore in pushing the regional agenda on all fronts. The simple truth is that on the large strategic concerns, the line between the national and the regional is blurred to the point of non-existence. Globalization and the altered architecture of the international political economy have caused this to be so. Let us face certain facts squarely. No credible, sustainable regional solution to the challenges of CLECO and British American Insurance Company is possible without the active involvement of the government of Trinidad and Tobago. The same holds for a host of issues, including trade, regional governance, regional security, regional air and sea transportation, energy, health, and education.
The evening culminated with host Prime Minister, the Honorable Dr. Denzil Douglas, presenting the Order of CARICOM to His Excellency Ambassador Edwin Carrington. Ambassador Carrington expressed his thanks and offered advice to the community.
Mr. Chairman, I find it remarkably coincidental that I paid my first visit to this lovely two-island state in 1971 as part of the Caribbean Free Trade Association, CARIFTA, Secretariat, the first visit of that organization around the Caribbean countries preaching the gospel of regionalism. On that occasion, we had a very vibrant discussion here in St. Kitts, and I mean vibrant. 20 years later, in 1991, I had the pleasure of being here as part of the delegation of Trinidad and Tobago to the Heads of Government Conference. It was at that meeting that the Order of the Caribbean Community, the OCC, was adopted, and the decision taken to make the first awards to the Honorable William Dimas, the Honorable Sridhar Ramphal, and the Honorable Derek Walcott. Another 20 years later, I am here again today in St. Kitts and Nevis, this time myself to receive the Order of the Caribbean Community. What a coincidence. Heads of government, I cannot find words adequate to convey my thanks and appreciation to the community, not just for the award, but for the invaluable opportunity afforded me over the years to serve my region. It is an opportunity which the government of Trinidad and Tobago has now extended by appointing me as Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary to the Caribbean Community, CARICOM. My thanks are particularly profound in their reference to the staff of the Secretariat, my virtual family, and to my real family, both of which have made outstanding and definitive contributions to this achievement. To both, especially my wife Patricia and family, I owe a sincere debt of gratitude. If we are to succeed in this quest for integration in a community for all, it is critical, indeed indispensable, that our youth become fully engrossed in the nature and content of the integration process from their very earliest education. Integration, we must always remember, is not an overnight achievement. Moreover, it is not for the faint of heart. Look at the struggles the European Union is undergoing at this time over the single currency. CARICOM, as the only integration grouping where virtually all its members are separated from each other by sea, save for two, and as a combination of small developing countries at that, faces no easy task. But we do not have a realistic alternative. I continue to have faith, indeed to be confident, that provided we proceed as a united people, we can and we will succeed. I thank you.
A fitting end to the opening ceremony of the 32nd regular meeting of the Conference of Heads of Government in beautiful St. Kitts.
For today, there are several issues that we want to raise out of Trinidad and Tobago. I think it's the first time an Air Jamaica flight has touched down. Did you go on Air Jamaica or Caribbean?
No, ma'am, I came a long way.
You came a long way. And that's an interesting thing because this flight is going to Kingston, and if we can stop here, maybe it's another way of us. But one of the areas I want to raise has to do with a fast ferry. There is a proposal for a fast ferry link within the Eastern Caribbean and Trinidad and Tobago, which will bring us closer together as we try to improve upon the integration movement. I don't think we've done enough, but certainly for movement of people, goods and trade, such a project could assist us. Something I would want to raise. There's a proposal before us in Trinidad and Tobago that will cost no money to the government of Trinidad and Tobago, but will they are asking to use Trinidad and Tobago as a home base. It's a foreign company, and they're looking at $15 US on that ferry. to go to Barbados first of all, and then some of these other Eastern Caribbean islands. So
all the normal issues of trade, and the various blocks that we have. Cement is still very much on the table, and these are areas that we hope that that with the way the discussions are going, that the Caribbean region will in fact be totally integrated. There's some new administrations there now, and maybe with new people, new think, and I think maybe after 30 years we'll finally be able to get the true Caribbean integration, not only with the people, but obviously with trade and of course with services, the CSME. I mean, this thing has been going on for many years, decades in fact, and I think the time is right that we make this thing happen.
I think we need to continue to partner with our CARICOM neighbours, because if we don't, remember the CARICOM forms a large block of our trading links, and therefore if we intend to grow the economy more, we have to continue to assist our partners in whatever way we can. So I think we'll see what we can do. In the last UNC administration, we had passed the first set of laws relating to free movement of people. Thereafter, other amendments to the law have been passed, and it has been incremental. And basically, what we are saying, it will be, it must be reciprocal. That is to say, those states who open up, we open up as well. So we don't have a difficulty, and our legislative framework is there to allow for free movement. I think at the moment, the first time when we passed the law, it was for university graduates. And then when we amended it, it was for others in entertainment and culture. So at each point, it keeps opening up and becoming wider. As the other nations open their doors, we open ours as well.